A very good morning right here. Thank you so much for always keeping it TV47. Such a beautiful morning, and I'm here to ensure that your day kickstarts on a very good note. My name is Linda Alela, and it is time for Morning Cafe. And you know very well that on Morning Cafe, we take a look at what is happening on the world of news. We take a look at the newspapers, the key stories that have been captured in the newspapers. We also expound more on discussions that are of importance to you and importance to me. Of course, we'll be having that session on the current affairs. But most importantly, you know, Wednesdays are all about COVID-19, a pandemic that we are dealing with as a global fraternity, trying to figure out how best we can be able to tame it. So Wednesdays, we dedicate them to addressing issues to do with COVID-19, how they have affected the economy, how, of course, COVID-19 has come in handy to us, you know, unraveling what we need to change as a society, and so much so. We take a look at the health sector, and we'll be having great conversations right here. We'll also later on have, of course, the Acting Secretary General of KMPDU, Mwachonda, will be joining us later to discuss more on how well prepared they are as frontline workers in dealing with COVID-19. Most importantly, of course, on the newspaper review segment, we'll be having Philip Mwangale, who's a lawyer and also a leadership and governance consultant. We expound more on what is captured on the main stories of the newspapers. As always, we have the Daily Nation, the Standard newspaper, the People's Daily, the Star. We take a look at all this. Most of the stories actually captured are, you know, running across all the newspapers. So we'll be taking a look at this and much more. We also take a look at what my team has prepared in terms of news. So we have indeed a full house of activities right here for you. We start right now all the way to 9 p.m. So make sure that you keep it right here. It will be as interesting as ever, even as we cross over to the lifestyle segment later on as we get to wind up. So yes, here we are, and Philip joins me this morning. Philip, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too for having me.
All right, so we'll start off with the newspaper, and I think the key one we would capture is the People's Daily, which is right here with me, as you can see. Well, I don't know how we operate. Are you able to see, or I'll just be taking you through what is there? Are you able to see? It's a big win.
Yeah.
Yes, all right. You can always look at the camera, and we will discuss more or less of the current affairs that are happening right now. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest story, of course, is Waiguru's win in what the People's Daily would refer it as. And he says this is a win for her, round one. Senators allied to Uhuru and Raila fight to ensure that embattled Kirinyaga governor's impeachment hearing goes to select committee amid resistance from group that supports Deputy President William Ruto. We saw this yesterday, and indeed it was indeed a full house of activities and lots of drama, lots of noise, and eventually, of course, those people who were supporting the 11-member committee stood at around 45, I think, there, and they all voted yes. And of course, those ones that are like to Deputy President William Ruto voted no. That, of course, did not carry the day. They were 14 of them. What do you make of this?
First, I'm surprised that the People has carried that headline. That was a big win for Waiguru, Governor
Round one.
Waiguru. But it could have some sense of truth in the sense that Waiguru will have expected or would have desired to have the committee way, because the committee presents an opportunity for her to, elaborate the facts that she has on her side better than she would at plenary. And the committee, the committee is just about 11 people. Yeah. So with 11 people, you'd only have that wide range of ideas. With the plenary, you're sort of dealing with a jury. Yeah. And with the jury comes a lot of questions, comes a lot of diverse opinion on the matter. So I think it is a win for her in the sense that she will get an opportunity to be very elaborate with the evidence that she has to support her case. But, we understand the political reality that we are in. And, it could also be a win because some are saying that the committee has a predetermined position, especially because, 6 members are drawn from the Jubilee coalition, and those members do not, that membership does not have the membership of what we have known as Tanga Tanga, those allied to DP William Ruto, and those that did not support the committee way. 5 members will come from ODM and the NASA coalition. So, in in a way, if those 11 committee members are whipped to a certain direction, then it is obviously a win for her.
Where does it place the people of Kirinyaga? I mean, the MCAs who represent the people, arguing that, of course, this was the voice of the people. Proceed to impeach Waiguru. Then she comes to the level of Senate, which again is a constitutional, procedure, and she's probably saved at that level. What would it mean for the people of Kirinyaga in terms of getting, services, in terms of getting value for their money, accountability, and all this?
It's interesting because I remember, I think it was Senator Wambua who mentioned that both Governor Waiguru and the people of Kirinyaga County, and by the people, we understand that the MCAs carry the mandate of the people.
Yeah.
So the assumption or the presupposition is that the MCAs have a majority, they are carrying the majority say of Kirinyaga County people. So those two sides are both seeking justice. Governor Waiguru has her own side of the story.
Yeah.
She's also seeking justice. And I have maintained, even though some people claim that impeachment is supposed to be solely a political process,
right,
I think we should stick to the fact that the Constitution and the County Government Act provides that should be a legal process. So when we politicize that process at the County Assembly, then we are looking at an impeachment process that is mad, like we have seen across counties that have conducted impeachments. So the county people of Kirinyaga can still get justice,
right,
if it goes the committee way, but if it is politicized in the committee, then they will not get justice, because they would have impeached a governor who would be brought back to them. And if those issues that they have raised, they raised in the impeachment motion continue, then we are likely to see a discordant county government, in the sense that the county assembly will be at loggerhead with the governor.
All right. As of yesterday, don't you suppose then that it was obvious that this is taking a political turn? Of course, before you answer that, let's just remind ourselves of the committee members that we are looking at: Abishiro Halake, Michael Mbito, Mwangi Githiomi, Beth Mogo, and Warloy Tip, Philip Mpaye, Cleopas Malala, Beatrice Kwamboka, Stewart Madzayo, Judith Pareno, and Moses Kajuang. And this one has been captured on page 4 of the People's Daily. Of course, just taking a look at some of the views of the senators themselves. Susan Kihika saying that sadly impunity won today and the great people of Kirinyaga lost. With the Capitol Hill Sanitization Committee, justice will be mirage. And of course, James Orengo saying, I can tell you, and I have the evidence, the people who are looking for Waiguru's head are not the county assembly. Interesting times right there. So this is something that we'll delve in later on as we discuss. But then I'd love to hear your take. I mean, you're a legal expert. As it stands, as of yesterday, do you suppose then this will take the constitutional route, or this is obviously the political way? This
is political, too political, and the law does not countenance that kind of situation. You know, when you have mentioned statements that came from Senator Orengo, that came from Murkomen, if on one hand, the group that will be tasked with hearing, and they're supposed to be impartial, because you see, the Senate will be sitting as a quasi-judicial body. They're operating as a court. So if the impartial arbiter is saying that we know that those who are after Governor Waiguru, have an agenda. There is somebody who is after Anne Waiguru other than the county assembly. Right. And there's another part that is saying that, and that part will not be in the committee. That part is saying we know that this will be a cleansing exercise. So if you have an impartial arbiter speaking in that manner, then we are likely not to see, the truth come out. Right. She will appear in the committee, tender her evidence, but then it's like the committee already has a predetermined position. All right, yes. We wait to see what will happen as of that. But now, coming to a different story, let's first of all remind ourselves of the numbers on matters COVID-19 as captured right here on the People's Daily. 3,860 confirmed
confirmed COVID-19 cases as at now, from the time that we reported our very first case. 1,328 have recovered so far. We have had 105 deaths, and of course 133 tested positive as of yesterday when we were getting that address from the Ministry of Health. 701 samples have been tested since the first case was reported in Kenya. That is 118,000. And Optimism as a life-saving corona drug is identified. That one has been captured on page 8. We'll be looking at that. But before that, a big win for hotels as opening hours have been extended. I mean, are we a little bit confused on how we should approach this, just as the entire global fraternity is? And indeed, is this a big win? Because remember, the hotels had been closed. Then, of course, there was that slow reopening of hotels and restaurants. Then, of course, extension of the curfew hours. That, again, was not so helpful to the people of the hotels because the government came out to say that they should still close at around 4 p.m. Then, again, this extension up until 7:30.
First, I must say, in as much as the world has been dealing with this issue for the first time, this has been new. Everyone has been learning the ropes as they go. Yeah. We have not handled it with wisdom. We have not expended knowledge in handling this coronavirus right from the onset, before the virus landed within our territory. Right. And one of those things that we have failed to do is to test, because right now we should be talking about individual tests, upwards of 2 million, if we are really to contain this virus. But I think the government has been slow in testing, either because of capacity, and we do not understand why that capacity is limited. Yet we are told that we have an opportunity to increase that capacity. We need to deploy funding in the area of capacity. So that is one. Two, the government used to talk about contact tracing in the first instances. Right now, we are not talking about contact tracing. We're just talking about tests that are being done. And if you remember, the CS, I think it was a CAS, she once mentioned that the tests that they tell us they're doing, for example, if they tell us they have done 4,000 tests in a particular day, it does not mean that those that number represents 4,000 individuals. It just represents the tests, including tests of people who are being reconfirmed negative, those kinds of tests. So I think that has been a failure of government. And when we also address the lockdown issue, the lockdown was supposed to operate as a quarantine of sorts, so that you're locking down Nairobi and then you are working towards containing the virus in Nairobi. But it has not worked. We have seen politicians cross over, ordinary Kenyans violate that lockdown measure.
And the numbers still going up, sadly.
And it's chaos. It's total chaos. So we should look at, we castigated Tanzania for a long time because we thought Tanzania was not very serious with this virus. But if you look at it from an economic perspective, and Tanzania, after a while, perhaps will be vindicated because, it's not something that they can hide. If people are dying, we will see it. If their economy is hurt, we will see it. Right. But I saw President Magufuli announced in Parliament that now they're going full-blown, they're opening up everything, schools and whatnot. Yeah. So we should also look at not just as a slow and gradual reopening, but we should look at what would happen if we do not really contain the numbers, because it has been proven that we are not really containing the numbers. Yeah. So we cannot continue in this manner.
All right, we'll be discussing COVID-19. Like I said, it's a special edition of COVID-19 every Wednesday. Call it COVID-19 360 or Corona 360. And of course, we take a look at all the issues, the economic impacts, and much, much more. Let's cross over to the corridors of justice. And this is something that I guess we've talked about since last week, and it remains here until this is addressed. So top lawyers ask Uhuru to resolve judiciary dispute. This dispute is there. Maraga is headed for leave days that he's probably going to hold up until that time he will exit office. And clearly, the end is not nigh. As a legal, of course, officer yourself, what do you make of all this tussle that is there? I mean, I have had a couple of you coming on board, and a majority of them have argued that the president is on the wrong side. Do you maintain that, or you have a different argument?
I maintain that the president is wrong. He's either getting wrong advice, and we could see, initially we thought perhaps he's ignoring advice from the AG, but we now know that the AG has been misadvising him, because on this he's totally wrong. You cannot fight the judiciary in this manner, and people should understand this. The president as a head of state has no equal. He's the only head of state, but the president as a head of government has inferior equals, let me use that term, in the speakers of the National Assembly and in the Chief Justice, because these are arms of the same government. It is that triune nature that that must be maintained. So the committee between the executive and the judiciary must be very must be very fluid. And what we are seeing portends something that is very dangerous for the rule of law. And that means that if the courts will pronounce themselves on a matter of law, then it is expected, as the Constitution tells us, that all persons should act with the authority or are subject to the Constitution, including the president. So if we have courts pronouncing themselves, giving court orders, and the executive is at the forefront of disobeying those court orders, then we are likely to see ordinary citizens violating court orders, and that will not be a good place for us to be. Yes.
All right, there you go. We will leave that one, because then again it's becoming tough and tough by the day. And of course I'll certainly expect you to be on the side of the judiciary. I don't know how well
everyone
the
should.
Judiciary everyone should be.
Everyone
I don't know
should.
how well the judiciary has of course done in terms of ensuring that they uphold the rule of law, because also there are lots of question marks in regards to how they have operated, and so much so, especially in the aspect of corruption, that has derailed us as a country hugely, and they have been considered as the missing link on the fight against corruption. So we can only wait to see.
Well, on that, we are not saying that we do not have issues within the judiciary.
Right.
As it's happening across board, across different departments of government, across our society as a country, we have issues. We have individuals perhaps who might be tainted in a way, but we should not use those issues to sideline or attack the judiciary. We should instead provide a platform, and I can say the judiciary has tried. We have the office of the ombudsperson within the judiciary. We have the JSC that has been cracking the whip on errant judicial officers. So they are trying. We're not saying that this is a perfect arm of government. We're just saying that let that arm of government be given the respect it deserves, and let that government, let that arm of government also occupy the place that it's supposed to occupy.
All right, there's so much of thirst for God, I want to put it that way. And now Deputy President William Ruto yesterday hosted religious leaders at his current home, and now talks to them and says, try and expedite talks on churches reopening. That is his main urge. Do you suppose then that there's so much confusion in this aspect of reopening slowly of the economy, different sectors, the church itself, and now Deputy President William Ruto saying that it's important that we go out there and again seek spiritual healing?
On this issue of churches reopening, I am conflicted, because as a Christian, I'm asking myself, what is the rush? Why do we really want to go back there? And from a Christian perspective, I will tell you this is my personal opinion, that we should really be asking ourselves how we can utilize this moment. And the question is, can churches and religious outfits operate outside those buildings? Are we saying that it is those buildings that advance our faith in different capacities? Are we saying that without us going back, then churches and religious organizations will collapse? If that is the reason, then we really need not to hurry back. But I agree that things should go back to normal. If a bar is open, then why not? Yes. Why shouldn't a church be closed? Yes.
Well, interesting. Cold season set to continue until August. Here we are, and we have it right here. So that is according to Murang'a Meteorological Officer who says that temperatures are likely to dip in the next 2 weeks. That's more like it. Has been a cold morning. I am glad that at least you made it here. And another thing on matters politics, Wetangula Group now vows to discipline rebels over his ouster. Is he celebrating too early? Remember, this was just stopped by the courts. I mean, until they deliberate on the way forward.
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
My position has been that when it comes to the law, when it comes to the Ford Kenya Constitution and matters of procedure, Wetangula has been safe because that ouster, that coup, did not happen procedurally, did not follow to the letter the Ford Kenya Constitution. So in as much as that is the position, then he has a right to celebrate. But remember, the registrar of political parties directed that they could decide to sort out their issues within the party. But then the other bit is this. If really Wetangula has fallen out with the membership of the party, and not just these few individuals, then even the law cannot really save him, because yes, you can retain the position, but if you've fallen out with the membership, then that is it for you. But if he has not, and he commands a certain following, especially within Bungoma County and Trans Nzoia, where Ford Kenya is, you can say it's really domiciled, then I think he has a reason to celebrate. On the other hand, this coup, with the exception of Eseli Simiyu, this coup was orchestrated from without Ford Kenya. So there are those who are really interested in the positions. Wamunyini is just holding the position as a caretaker for certain people. There are those who claim Eugene Wamalwa and Mukhisa Kituyu are trying to make a comeback into the party. Of course, they sold their party for a song. So perhaps that will be a loss for them.
All right, as we discuss COVID-19, this is a story that has been captured on the People's Daily, and also, of course, making rounds across the international scene. Dexamethasone, I'm not so good or conversant with, medical terms, but here we are. Dexamethasone proves fast a life-saving drug, and indeed, it's called a cheap and widely available drug that can help save the lives of patients seriously ill with coronavirus, and the low-dose steroid treatment is a major breakthrough in the fight against the deadly virus. This is according to experts from the UK. We'll delve deep into understanding this, and of course, if it is worth expounding on and worth understanding more about, and of course would come in handy towards addressing the COVID-19 pandemic, I think indeed we'll be here to ensure that we break it down for you. But before we exit the stage on matters, review on the newspapers, I think we go back to the Waiguru factor. This has been captured as the cartoon edition, and you can see Baba seated somewhere right there on the top at the helm, and of course Waiguru somewhere. I don't know where. We're not able to get. Are we able to get this? I guess we're not able to get it clearly. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, there you go. So Baba is a sanitizer, according to you. Like honestly, if you saw what played out yesterday in Parliament, I mean at the Senate, and clearly, in as much as Baba said that everyone is going to carry their own cross, the likes of James Orengo, the ODM senators clearly showed that there was that push by Baba that you should proceed and save Anne Waiguru, and as it is, it's a clear picture.
I've maintained, and many people have disagreed with me on this, that Capitol Hill is the Kijito cha Utakaso.
We should start singing that song.
And so people who are tainted would run to Capitol Hill, and suddenly they are cleansed of all their misdeeds. And it's unfortunate, but that is what has been happening. Anyone who has been accused of corruption, once they go to they meet Raila Odinga, it's like suddenly they are sanitized. And this is not different with Waiguru. We saw her meeting in as much as Raila Odinga refuted claims that they actually met. Waiguru says they met. So, and the only reason they could be meeting after the impeachment was because she wanted to be in good books with Raila Odinga and his ODM brigade. So I agree with that cartoon to a very large extent. And you know, the other unfortunate bit is that we do not have politicians who are honest. I mean, people should just come out and say, yeah, I support this person. I do not think they are guilty, rather than coming out and saying, I do not have a position. You know, we'll let the law take its course. Yet behind the scenes, they're working to. So it's unfortunate.
All right, it's pretty much unfortunate. What is left of Wanjiku? We expound more on that on the current affairs segment. If you look at how the likes of Murkomen were out there saying that this is impunity to the highest level and everything, then you just go back and remind yourself of what played out also on the Waititu saga, where Murkomen was eagerly and strongly trying to defend Waititu. Then you ask yourself, I mean, in as much as you'd point fingers at the people who are saving Waiguru right now, are the people who are not saving her as genuine? They are not, certainly. So we take a breather, we'll cross over to news, and we'll be coming back later on with more on the discussion. Philip Mwangali, thank you so much for your time, lawyer, leadership and governance consultant. I don't know whether we'll have you in the next segment. You will tell us after this.